Good day and welcome. Matthew here again. We are at Interlagos Manufacturers Cup. It is the actual season. This is stage 1. We're group 4. I think I said Interlagos already. What? Sorry, distracted by the cat. Anyway, we qualified 6th in the Ferrari after very quick training between Nations Cup and this, the Nations Cup race and this one, by actually my chat in my live stream. It gave me some tips and pointers. I hadn't done a lot of practice, but their pointers got me 6th place and a pretty decent lap time. But FSR Weapon decides to go around the, well, come up the inside, then go around the outside of me into this corner, and then hangs around the outside through here. I give him a little tap with my rear. I kind of stepped out a little bit, but there was some brilliant driving by Weapon then to go side by side in that Mazda to go around the outside of me. It was really excellent, really impressed by that, which had me worried. I was hoping for 4th. 4th would give me pretty decent points for Ferrari for the first stage. I'm not a fan of this track, or not necessarily not a fan. I like the track. It's just never gelled with me. I've never been able to quite hook it up around here for whatever reason. And I hadn't done a lot of practice going into this one. I'd actually put a lot more effort into the Nations. And so I wasn't as fast as I could have been. And actually after this race I felt the Ferrari could have gone more. But that's beside the point. I have a look up the side of Weapon into this one. He goes a bit too deep. I take the place back. I really force the issue around the outside and then take the inside for turn 3 and gain the position. I had to worry about that Audi behind because I know he's very fast in a straight line, and Monkey Matt just behind him in the V-dub, who is also very fast in a straight line, as you see them coming through now. This, I think, was the difference that kept Weapon off my back. All I did then was just a nice deep brake, made sure Knuckles stayed to my outside. I took the inside line, got a good drive. The Ferrari's strength is a good drive out of slow corners. So that was really important then, and that really paid off for me. I got ahead going into the 5th corner, or is it the 6th, that right-hander, and I managed to start to pull away from the front-wheel drive cars that were just behind through the infield, through the twisty bits. The Ferrari did not seem to excel in any particular place around this track. It was solid. I still feel there was more in it than what I was giving it. The Ferrari does suffer a little bit with the longer corners. It does like slow stop-start tracks a lot more than this sort of track. Even though there are slower corners, they are quite long and they have quite long exit lines. So the Ferrari starts to understeer, and I think that negates some of its advantage it has around here. So it was not the fastest down the big long front straight, and it also wasn't the fastest in the twisty bit, so it had no real major advantage, but it was a good average car around here. So it meant that I could pull away from the front wheel drive cars through the infield and make a gap so they couldn't attack me back. But anyway, you see Weapon just behind Monkey Matt. If I just jump back to them, and I think this is what saved me for the rest of the race, because I was afraid of that Mazda. The Mazdas seem to be going well with the latest patch. They seem to have moved forward in the rankings out of the viable cars that are going to sort of be topping the charts. So that Mazda was a real threat, and I was kind of worried about it. But I knew that now they got stuck behind Monkey Matt through the infield, he'll be held up enough for me to make a gap and then maintain that gap back to Weapon. And see Monkey doing his job. He's trying to hold on to every position he could, and he's holding up Weapon just nicely. So my goal going into this race, I got beaten by Monkey last season for the pre-season, and he was in the V-dub then, and so I made up a goal going into this race to not lose to Monkey this season. So I had to start off with a bang and beat Monkey this race. So my qualifying 6th, and Monkey qualified 9th. was a good start, and I was pretty excited by that. And now on lap 3 I was pulling away from Monkey, and now we're going to see Weapon, I believe, go around the outside of him. Really nicely done by Weapon, really good driving by Weapon. He was great in the last race, and he started off this race really well. But unfortunately, at this stage he's about a second and a half behind, and his battles with Monkey has just cost him a bit of time to me. So we just jumped back to the start of the race now, where Weapon got past me. This is quite a good move, so I just wanted to highlight the fact. He wasn't really attacking me here. I take a regular line, I go a little bit deep, have to hesitate on the accelerator. I take the outside line because it's going to be the inside for the next corner. So I thought I'd have him. He had a really good run on me, and he managed to hang around the outside. Even though I have a bit of an advantage, and you see me gain the position back, or almost gain it back here, he still hangs around the outside around here. I give him a little bump. Not intentional, but nothing major anyway. And he has inside for that long left-hander, and he gains the position. That was really good driving by Weapon. Really nicely done. So I just knew I had to hang on to the back of him. Hopefully he doesn't get a draft off Conzio, who's just up ahead. And if I get a good drive out of here, I would be able to get him back. He, unfortunately for him, he goes wide. Bit too deep on the brake, goes a bit wide at the last corner, and puts me in a great position for the draft down the straight. So he's going to hang on to the inside line, which makes the most amount of sense to force me to go to the outside, defending the corner. So that's what I do. I hold him to the left-hand side to try to make him overshoot or mess up his braking. I put my brakes on, he releases them, I believe, and then just goes a bit too deep. I undercut him, I now go around the outside, and I aggressively try to take that corner, give him a bump, and go around the inside of the long turn 3. And then the two fast front-wheel drive cars go past him, and I just have to defend the Audi going into turn 4, which I do so quite nicely. I slow it down, hit the apex, and then really power out, while he has to take a long way out. And I know the front-wheel drive car is going to understeer under power, so he has to wait longer to get onto the power, give me that position back. So really tough driving for the first couple of laps to hold on to my 6th position that I earned in qualifying. The goal here was to get 4th, so I really had to jump forward and get onto 5th and 4th place. Rodney Q, who had started 4th, had fallen back to 5th after being beaten into a corner by Conzio up ahead. Just jumping forward about 4 or 5 laps, just because not a lot happened. Turns out my pace in the Ferrari, I was holding off Weapon. I held him at about a 1.5 second advantage to me. He got it down to 1.1 at one stage. I guess his tyres went away. Actually, I can go check that, can't I? Because I have the power. Not a lot in it. So the mid-engine cars do wear their rear tyres a lot more than their fronts. And as you can see, the front-engined Mazda wearing its fronts a lot harder than the rears. But I guess that's just going to cost them a bit of turning, especially with the longer corners around here. But that helped me. That helped me maintain my 1.1 to 1.5 second advantage over the course of the race. So he could never really close up on me. And saying that, just checking his tyres. See, the race hards in the tyre multiplier. None of the cars had a problem on these tyres for the entire race. And the fuel meant you could go the whole race flat out, and it was just purely about going as fast as you can for the entire race. Conzio's hitting 38s basically the entire way. Same with Dino's. Rodney's not far off, and I was a little bit further back. Mostly 39s, as you can see. I was about 2 seconds behind. Actually, I think I got it down to about 1.5 seconds to Ronnie at this stage. But that was never going to be enough. I could never quite catch up to the pack ahead, even though they fought quite hard with each other. I could never quite close that gap. So I never got into a position to threaten 5th place, and Weapon behind could never close up on me to threaten my position with, I guess his tyre wear started to creep in, so he started to get a bit slower through the corners. And so I just maintained my advantage with a bit more balanced tyre wear with the car, which is actually quite nice to see because the Group 4 Ferrari used to be notoriously bad on its front tyres, and now it's quite well balanced, which is quite nice. And considering this season we've got 6 races in Group 4, that's going to be quite important going forward. It depends on the tyre wear multiplier combinations, but hopefully with a bit of fuel burn and tyre wear multiplier coming into play, we might see the Ferrari moving up the field a bit. But as for tonight in Interlagos, it was just a flat out race. The fastest cars won. The fastest combo, or the fastest cars for this track, certainly were able to just pull away. Holland took the race just ahead of Bass, 1st and 2nd, followed by this group, Conzio, Dinos and Ronnie Q, and me in 6th. That was it really. A bit of action for the first couple of laps, a bit of a good fight between myself and Weapon. Weapon had some great driving and done a really good overtake on me. I got him back into lap 2, and that was it. I tried to catch the pack just ahead. I dropped back to about 3 and a bit seconds at one stage, and I ended up closing up to about 0.8 by the end. I think with a bit more practice and a bit better driving, I dropped a few tenths for a couple of laps there. I may have had a chance at 5th, but I don't think I was ever going to get the 4th place that I wanted points wise for me. But it was a good race. I learned a bit at Interlagos. Thank you very much to my chat in Twitch, who actually really helped me out for some tips through the infield, because the infield is my weakness around here. I'm just utterly terrible at it for whatever reason. I just never quite hooked it up. So thank you very much to my Twitch chat, I have to say. It was brilliant, and I learned a lot in the 10 minutes between Nations and Manufacturers Cup. Had a decent qualifying, got me in a good position, and I had a pretty decent race from there. So thank you for watching. It goes to Manufacturers Cup, goes to Yamagiwa, Group 4 around there on Wednesday, which should be good, followed by Le Mans Group 3 next Saturday, which is going to be amazing, and I'm really looking forward to that. So until then, thank you for watching, thank you for hanging out, and we will catch you next time.